Horrific and beautiful. Can life be both of those things? When a human being has lost everything and their miseries have become more numerous than the stars in the sky, can people still find something to live for?
I don't want no trouble.
This is, in my opinion, the main question posed by the 2019 film The Nightingale. It's one of my favourite films and I think you should watch it. The film follows an Irish convict named Claire. She's living in the harsh wilderness of early settlement Tasmania with her husband Aidan and her infant daughter. In a very brutal first act, Claire experiences unspeakable atrocities at the hands of Captain Hawkins, a cruel and unfeeling man whose only motivation is power. She hires an Indigenous tracker to help lead her through the Tasmanian wilderness in order that she might find Captain Hawkins and the rest of his team. Will Claire find her revenge? And how will she change as she ventures deeper into the wild? Now, if you've heard about this film at all, you'll know that it's mainly recognised for its unflinching depiction of the brutality of early British settlement in Australia. And it is, in fact, a very difficult watch. But I think it's a bit of a shame if that's all this film is remembered for, because it's a lot more than just that. A staggering and unforgettable search for human kindness and peace. That was the review of this film left by Collider. Perhaps the theme you would least expect to find in a film like this is that of one's inner journey to peace. But I think that The Nightingale is, above all, a film about just that. It's a film about finding meaning in the darkness, but at times it can be very difficult to watch. The viewer struggles to see anything beautiful as they are exposed to an unending tide of human depravity. The film confronts a painful fact that sometimes those with the most control over our lives are the ones with the greatest capacity for evil. It is very tempting in the face of such a fact to believe that the world is completely irredeemable. Claire and the Indigenous tracker are forced to confront the depth of depravity as they traverse across the early settlement world of Tasmania. The land that Claire and Billy venture across is littered with prisoners and workers, many of whom the isolation of such a place has turned them into cruel and instinctual creatures. These gangs of soulless people wander the land and threaten Claire and Billy at every turn. They trek after Captain Hawkins, a relentless man with a bloodlust and thirst for power. Hawkins destroys everything he touches. Any Indigenous tribes or travellers who cross paths with him instantly live to regret it. His character serves to make us ask one question: how can we possibly be good in a world where people like this hold power? Anybody who shows weakness or kindness underneath his authority instantly becomes a target for his manipulation. And it seems that the only way to survive is to be just like him. Just like much of the great literature of old, The Nightingale poses the most difficult questions before offering up hope. Our main characters, Claire and Billy, are forced to grapple with the horrors of existence, but they are also forced by their situation to find something much deeper, a will to live. As Claire spirals deeper and darker into her path for revenge, she is forced by her situation and by the wilderness to ask one question: why? Her pursuit of revenge and bloodlust is causing her to act in ways that she would never have done so in a previous life. Claire is Irish and her companion is Indigenous Australian. A deep racism holds them apart. But in the cold and unforgiving world of the Nightingale, they are forced to journey together. Are they capable of seeing past their prejudices and finding humanity? At many points in the story, as our characters spiral deeper into their destructive paths, there are moments where our main characters look up. They see the timeless mountains, the sky and the clouds. The circle of life never stops. The film reminds us that we are just a small part of a greater whole, and that life continues in all its beauty despite what happens between us. For many of us, what we value most deeply is to be happy, at peace and content. But how can we find this? How can we believe this is possible when the world we live in is so brutal? Is it even possible? Can we look above the clouds and see the bigger picture? These are some of the most important questions we can ask, which is why it's so important that films like this are made. The Nightingale is a film known for its brutality, but life is brutal and existence is hard. That's why it's worth watching these kinds of movies, and it's why I hope this movie doesn't get forgotten. I hope its themes of empathy and its epic search for human kindness continue to be experienced for many years to come. For those of you who feel like you could benefit from a film like this and who feel interested in the story, I highly suggest you go and watch it. It's a tragically underrated film, and I hope it gets more attention in the coming years. It's a film that reminds us that sometimes it's in our greatest moments of despair and sadness that the beauty of life can become clear. Thank you for watching Now You Sleep, and I hope you return for our next video.